Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday night edition of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, my name is Dave Scott. Glad to have you with us as the man with 4,622 podcasts. Bryan Bowden is here for our cryptid world. We're going to have a great time with Bryan coming on up. But first, we have to say hello to each and every one of you. Why? Because I love to. Kitty County-Whack back in the gold medal position. Eternity Eternal with the silver. Race fan taking home the bronze medal tonight. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show. He's lubing up Joe Monk because it's his birthday. So make sure you watch out for the hair. He won't allow the lube in the hair. Everywhere else, he's good, especially with his Joe toes. Yep. Robert Lamoth, how are you? David Norenberg, Gory Tiger, good to see you both here as we start off roll call. The attorney at large, Michael Morris, is here. Good to see you, buddy. Kurt M., thanks for coming on in. Steve H., welcome to SOR Chat. And where are we here? Bar Madison, good to see you. Paramarv, what's going on, my man? Hope you're doing well. Let's continue on with our roll call. Tim Mothman and his goatee here. Little Timmy James, how you doing? Oh, look at that. Hey, it's Sir Bryan Bowden, the man with 7,249 podcasts. How does he have time to be on SOR? That's funny. That is funny. All right, scrolling on down, we have next Mama Catherine. Mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful night, and I know you're going to enjoy tonight's show, so enjoy. Sit back, relax. Mr. Cowley is here. Mr. Cowley will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Scrolling on down, who's next on our list? Well, let's take a look. It's Frankie B. How you doing, buddy? And Jaquetta, thank you for coming on in. Lisa Smith, good to see you as we continue on with our roll call here. Oob to Joe's Maine. He's got birthdays. Happy birthday to you, Oob. Happy Oob Day to you. Happy Oob Day, dear Oobalicious Joe Monk. Happy birthday, you sexy mother effer. Oob to you. There you go. Yeah. Joe with the toes missing, toe covers missing on all of his Uggs. Yep. Jose Sanchez, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? Flat Six, good to see you. Jarence Carter, what's happening, my man? Juliana, nice to see you. Skip to My Lou is up early this morning. Skip to My Lou will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. All right, Luscious Jules, nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call. There's Rock and Rory and Undead Jed. Matthew Goodka, Night Drive. How you guys doing? Number 33 in your program, starting in goal tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. 2.39 goals against in Summer League right now. Ozzy, how you doing? Awesome Annie Svensson, good to have you back. Hi there, Astral Fugitive. How are you? Destiny Rocks, nice to see you. Mark Sanchez and his collection of Hawaiian shirts, nice to see you. Stu Effin Gerson, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? All right. Scrolling on down. Who's next on our list? Let's take a look here. Jay Truthseeker. Good to see you. Lenda, thank you for coming on in. Carol Amario and Rain, thank you for joining us. Emperor Penguin, good to have you here. Mark Eddy, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're having a good time. Seven Systems, thanks for joining us. And I think we are caught up. Let's go to get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in as we have Bryan Bowden here for, what do we call this? Oh, yeah, Our Cryptid World. Yep, the man with thousands upon thousands of podcasts hanging on out. We're in roll call on our YouTube side, so sit back, relax. As we say hello to Candace. How are you? Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Nelson, welcome back. And Monica, thank you for joining us. We're caught up. Reminder to all of you, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. You could join the YouTube membership club right now. And do me a favor, throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what the little cabin knows. We're together, my friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show for you tonight. Bryan Bowden, the man with multiple podcasts in the thousands, will join us to talk monsters on Our Cryptid World. Then in hour number 3, it's going to be a busy one. We have Swamp Dweller. We have Little Timmy James coming in for the UFO report. We have the Dave 101, and it'll be the weird news of the week. So let's have some fun. Bryan Bowden was born and raised in New York City. They don't make a good salsa there, but I'll tell you, a good pizza, a good hot dog, a good baseball team in the Yankees, terrible hockey. Let's just face it, the Rangers are terrible. They really are terrible. And, of course, in the meantime and in between time, when he's not moving his way around New York City all the way down to Florida and back, he's chasing down monsters. Bryan is somebody who has been there, seen it, done it all. He's an experiencer. He's a researcher. He's an author, podcaster. He's been on numerous television shows talking about Dogman, Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, psychic energy. He's worked with the crypto guru, Ronald L. Murphy. His biggest passion, podcasts. This man has a network of podcasts going. At one point, he had like 4,000 podcasts going on at the same time. He says it was only like 2 or 3. I don't believe him, but you know what? Let's bring him right on. Bryan Bowden, the man, the myth, and the podcast legend. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I got a little laryngitis, but I'm doing good. Only one show right now, and then actually I'm bi-weekly on another show that runs every day. But other than that, nope. And then I'm here today to hang out with everybody in the Spaced Out Radio chat and you.
Well, it's always good to have you here, my friend. And, you know, for people who may say, why you tease this guy so much? He's a good
I'm
dude.
good.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
he's a
fine with
good
it.
dude. You know what? There's one thing that I can always say about Bryan Bowden over the years. If I call, he answers.
Mhm.
That says a lot to me.
That's
Says
what
a lot.
friends do, right?
That's what friends do.
Mhm.
You do have to come to one of our Vegas events, though.
I'm really trying. I really want to get there. It's just the way it's situated. I think you should come to Florida, but well, at least to see the cup at that point. But
Ouch.
well, you took a shot at the
Ouch.
Rangers, my brother. So
This was going to be a fun show until you mentioned Florida beating my Oilers 2 years in a row. All right.
you know what? The
I mean,
first
if
year
we're
it was pretty tight. It was good, but
all I'm going to say is this.
yeah,
That is insultive. I am hurt. I feel like I'm in a bowl of mass confusion right now. You hurt. You hurt me.
I'm a New York Ranger fan. They're the reason why most Ranger fans drink. I mean, it just doesn't work. They're cryptids of the hockey world. It's ridiculous what goes on with this stuff.
Let me ask you this, okay? Because I know you're a conspiracy theorist. Have you ever, being a hockey fan, looked into the Gary Bettman conspiracy?
No, but it's really interesting.
So
it really
for
is
people,
interesting.
so for people who don't know who Gary Bettman is, he is the commissioner of the NHL. And the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup was the Montreal Canadiens in 1993. Now, there's two conspiracies to go along with that. In 1993, it was their last win in the Montreal Forum before they moved to the Bell Center. And it is believed that because they changed buildings from the historic Forum to go to the Bell Center, that it cursed all Canadian teams from winning the Stanley Cup. Or the second conspiracy that I just mentioned about Gary Bettman, when he took over as commissioner, the NHL had never had a commissioner. It only had presidents. And he took over from Gil Stein, who was the final NHL president, and he became the first and only commissioner the NHL has ever seen and known. And since then, during his early tenure, he pulled 2 teams out of Canada, threatened to pull 3 more, where Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal would have been the only teams. He moved Winnipeg down to Arizona, which is now in Utah. He moved the Quebec Nordiques to the Colorado area, which won a Stanley Cup almost immediately after moving there. And in 1994, since 1994, a Canadian team has never won the Stanley Cup as long as Gary Bettman has been commissioner. Now,
I beg to differ in 94. I mean 94, because the New York Rangers were basically the Montreal. It was the Oilers.
Well, I understand that.
It literally was the Oilers that got us the cup. It was, I mean, it was nice to watch and all, but it's better when it's organic, like it's been, with Toronto and some other teams in Montreal and whatever. But, it's a tough.
Well,
us winning anything is like trying to see Bigfoot. It's like a rarity.
But what do you think of the conspiracy theory?
I mean, it's an interesting theory because it may just coincide with the fact that teams aren't that good over the Canadian teams aren't doing that well. Then I mean it's almost valid, but you're pretty much saying he's favoring American franchises or America over Canada. The only thing I can think of on the conspiracy is how much more money these owners making now. There's a lot of money to be made when a local team wins, and then how much does that go back to the league? Because there's got to be certain features that the league's going to get. It's kind of like NASCAR. When you get into NASCAR and you advertise, Everybody benefits. It is the craziest marketing in the world, but it's amazing. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe we should just stop calling it Canada and the U.S. and just call it Canerica or something like that.
Well, technically, if you want to get technically speaking, and I'm sure I'll raise some eyebrows and feathers with this, America is a continent. It is not a country. It's the United States of America, the
Right.
continent.
It's actually two continents, but yes.
Yes.
They just shorten it to America, but it is, yes, United States of America.
So to say you're
parts of Canada.
Now, if you say you're American, you should have a passport to go anywhere in North and South America.
I agree with you. And if you love
cross the
hockey,
border, who cares?
Yeah, if you love hockey, you should also have a passport that says, yeah, we're going wherever.
I agree.
But there's a lot of these conspiracy theories. I understand, when the Oilers moved, that's like the curse of Babe Ruth almost. And when they built the new Yankee Stadium, there was a rumor going around that one of the construction workers was a born and raised Boston fan, and he buried a jersey in the stadium and to curse them. And they literally dug up, there was a jersey there, and that was like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of construction.
It just that jersey, that David Ortiz jersey, just sold for $175,000.
Yeah, nice.
He cursed him.
Yep,
cursed him. Let's talk a little bit about you before, and then we'll get into some curses, because I know you like curses.
I actually am asking somebody to come on my show that deals with old witch curses, and it's interesting stuff. So we'll get into that a little bit.
For people who may have never heard you on this show before,
yes,
how did it all start for you? Why did you fall in love with covering this subject?
I researched it primarily, and I went out and I was able to go out into the field and actually be, in the woods researching and interviewing people. I never thought I'd be, going up to people and talking to them about their encounters, be it extraterrestrial or cryptid or ghost, and then getting that information, storing it, and then going back out, working on. I'm not a scientist, and we always have this conversation, people trying to do science, but I was trained in scientific methods because I studied physics and astronomy and some engineering, and I know the repetition, if you can repeat things, but I try to do that. I also try to debunk constantly, but it was just, I have questions, I've had experiences, and I want answers. And then the most logical thing was, I want to talk about it. There's not many people in my area where I was growing up that you can talk about it with, so you reach out to the universe that's here, all these wonderful people that are part of Spaced Out Radio, and that enjoy these type of subjects, and then you hear from their experience of it. I've heard the stories. It's really weird interviewing people that you've kind of like, you've seen on TV, and at one point you're like, oh, they'll be out of touch, and there you are, you're talking to Ron Moorhead, Sierra Sounds, and you're like, and you become friendly with these people, and there's go-tos, the Gearhards and Blackburns and all these other people. I was just hanging out a bit. They did a 3-day paranormal weekend to raise money for charity and people that really need help, called the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and there's a lot of para-celebrities there. But a lot of them are my friends that was like, yo, Bryan, what's up? And, you're hanging out and you're talking about new things. I had a person I never met before, new to the whole thing, and told me a very interesting story that I'll get into about a cryptid. Or is it not a cryptid? Is it something that's made up? But he swears he's seen what he's seen. And it's along the Dogman lines, but it's known as something else. He saw Krampus.
No.
Yeah, he did. He's well, he lived in the Pennsylvania Dutch area, and he swears he saw something that looked like Krampus. Had the horns, even the tongue what came out, it was forked at the end of it. He said it was blood red, and it had almost like a devil's tail on hind legs. He said of some kind of, I would say, a goat or something to that effect. And then I had to ask, do you drink? I actually have to ask these questions when I interview people. Like, are you taking any kind of medication right now? Are you seeing things? Because it does play a part in a lot of stuff. It's not that, it's personal, but if you're going to tell me you've seen something, he's like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of this. I just find it all fascinating. And when I heard this was going to be here, I was hoping more people would know what I saw. He said Krampus. And that's kind of interesting. That's the first time I've heard of Krampus being cited that wasn't part of like some festival, in Germany or wherever. But again, it's PA, right? I mean, Butch Witowski you have the Lycan Loop, you have it's a crazy, crazy state. It's dark and it's crazy.
For you being in the situation where you're putting yourself out there, to find monsters and legends, what's the rush of it all? Why do it if these creatures are said to be so dangerous?
My interactions initially it was a little nerve-wracking. I mean, a bipedal giant gorilla. And I mean, we already know what chimpanzees can do. We know what the strength capability. And you get that if you get the woot or the huff, like you feel it in the reverberation in your chest, that will wake you up pretty damn quick. But the goal at this point is it's not always happens when you go out there. I know you have your site and you guys been going out. I don't have a gifting site. We're working on something down in Florida at this point, but I just think these things somehow they connect to a universal source and they know who people are. It's bizarre. I don't know how to explain it other than it's just like a collective of information, and they know when you come from the north, like, oh, that's that guy from, Billy's portion of the planet, and they know what kind of people you are, and that's the rush is getting a better, eyesight view of it. It's great when you have cameras and stuff, but when you've actually witnessed this thing and you see an arm coming past a tree, but there's no other being with it, that is the craziest thing too. So then that throws some questions in there. Can they just phase in and out of camouflage or view? Do they have that capability? And then the ultimate is the mind speak. I want a communication with this. I want to ask questions, more so of Bigfoot than Dogman or the Jersey Devil. Although Lon says something to the effect that he's been having communications with some of the flying humanoids up in Chicago through, I guess, remote viewing or whatever Lon does, but I've not had that experience yet. That's what I'm waiting for,
What's the one experience you've always wanted to have?
It's not cryptid related. It's not safe for radio.
Well, let's keep it safe for radio.
Okay. You're talking about cryptid. Initially, I thought it would be kind of cool to be on have a UFO land, get in there and get to fly it, and get to learn some information and travel and that type of stuff. Now it's more of, again, it's communication and almost befriending or having that, this is my step family type of thing, and having a relationship that way. Not only with just the adult versions, but some of the younger ones. And I guess it's that thing. It's building a relationship with it to the point where they know who you are, and and they look happy when they see you, and it's just an interaction. And possibly even, I mean, my kids would freak out, but maybe bring, no one would believe you if you did get to that point where you were, had a, like, oh, the Bigfoots are coming for dinner tonight. Not that they would, but, if my kid said I was in the woods and, my dad hunts, you'd probably say hunts Bigfoot or researches them, and we met them and we were interacting with them, no one would believe you. But I don't care what anybody else says. I would believe it. And then, of course, I'd call you and like, get your ass down to Florida, or wherever we are. I'm like, come on down, and hopefully they go, Dave, how do you know me?
Yeah, I'm going to walk in there and I'm just going to like doff my cap and, all the Bigfoot out there, all the dogmen, hey, thank you. Keep the alligators and the sharks away if you don't mind. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, that would be really good. But, they probably have a world of information that is really, really important for us as human beings. How we conduct ourselves. Not to get all sappy or whatever, but, they can say you're not doing things right. If you just sit, I've had a Native American friend that said, when you go out, do you sit there for 12 hours and just meditate? And I'm like, probably don't. That's a little bit too, attention deficit. But I do try to meditate prior, and I do a meditation prior to going for a week, every day. I do a remote view of it. And then when we get there, when I go out, I do a meditation and try to connect with them on a consciousness level, saying, I'm here. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. The weapon I have is for protection against other predators that may want to harm me. And if I have to do something to take their life, I will give, I humbly give it to you to use for your sustenance.
That's exactly what Tim and I do when we go out in the forest. We don't put it on camera because it's not for show. You know what I'm saying? But
no, we don't.
But when we go out there, we thank them for allowing us to be in their area for the night. We then tell them that we are armed. We do have pointy sticks with us.
Right.
And however, we do make it clear that if something paranormal, supernatural, cryptid, or anything comes forward, we will not raise that pointy stick to them. This is to protect ourselves from the predators of the animal kingdom that
right.
rule that area. I mean, you don't have grizzly bears, man. Grizzly bears don't care.
No, I don't have grizzly bears.
And
I'm thankful.
Black bears, black bulls, wolf packs, black bears.
We have wolves. We have some bear, but not the size that you would get on the grizzly end. They do have
big cats too, like us.
Oh yeah. We have Florida. I don't want to send the name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Panthers. You could say.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
Florida Panthers. And then and they're endangered. I believe, but you do have a certain leeway if your life is being threatened. And the boars are nuts. They'll go right at you, and they have the huge tusks, and they will destroy you. And they're pretty damn quick. In the long run, they're really, really fast. Yes, Mark Eddie. We also have cougars, two-legged cougars down in Florida. Yeah. So when we go out, it's not like we have law enforcement people with us too. And one of the guys was a forensic guy in NYPD. So he's great. He knows what to do and how to capture the evidence so that we can have them send it out and get tested. Because we have a lot of theory about these things on these cryptids, but we don't really know if it's true or not,
Bryan Bowden is here for Our Cryptid World. You can find him everywhere online because he literally has about 17 podcasts a day running each and every night. Doesn't matter. We love him around here. He's into the cryptids. He's into the paranormal. He's into UFOs, aliens, conspiracies. What we're going to get into next, curses on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we clear. Are you drinking Fanta?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I haven't had Fanta in years.
And I'm also drinking butterscotch moonshine.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
Woo Poo, how are you? Morris Vandenbrusk, Buskirk. Yeah, that is the alter ego of Susan in Edmonton. She keeps trying to say, oh, this is my boyfriend's ID. I'm using his computer. No way, man. She is complete spy network. JAF, how are you? Look at you go, Brian. Having a dart and everything. Beautiful. David Kenyak, welcome.
Call him a dart? That's great. Better when the English call him.
Luscious Jules, I hate snakes. I freak out with snakes around.
Really? Good to know, everybody.
Oh, buddy. Let me tell you this story. So one day, it was on a Sunday, my buddy Mike and I are out getting firewood. Okay. And we're loading up the back of my truck. So we're about, 60, 70 feet into the trees, and I'm bucking up the wood, and it's one of those ones where you have to, make a pile, and then you have to make another pile before you get it to the road.
Right.
So we're picking up logs, we're throwing them down towards the vehicle, and right in front of me, there's about a 3-foot garter snake wrapped up right on the rock to the exit now.
Oh, that's sweet. So
and I look at Mike, and I said, oh my God, there's a snake. And he looks, he goes, well, we're stuck. I said, we're never going to get out of here, man. He goes, I know. We might as well just burn the whole forest down because we're stuck. A little garter snake about this big. Freaked me out. Don't like snakes.
I used to play with those and pick them up. I've been on actually investigations in the woods, and we have copperheads that go past by.
Oh no!
And then
that would
we have
freak
also
me.
water moccasins. Actually, I went fishing in a lake in Connecticut, and I hooked a water moccasin.
What do you do?
I didn't realize at the time. My buddy, like the first catch of the day, I'm like, why'd you unhook? Why'd you cut me? He goes, you hooked a water moccasin, and he didn't look happy. I was like, yeah, those are very aggressive.
No, that's where you take your 9mm and you just put it right into the lake, man. Just, you look at it, you just fill that sucker full of lead.
Yeah. I mean, in Florida, we have a lot of Floridians down there that know how to handle stuff. They've been handling snakes. They have a lot of poisonous snakes down there. And then they have snakes that look like poisons. They have a black razor snake that is probably 5 foot long or more. And it hangs out, likes to hang out by the water. It takes care of the poisonous snake. So you kind of leave certain things alone. But
no.
Yeah.
No, not me.
And I haven't had the dreamsicle, but I'm intrigued now.
I will say this, though. I would like to go into the swamps of Florida just so I could see an alligator in the wild. And number one. But number two, that way I could get a chameleon because they're everywhere there.
Yeah, you can do that. Just come to my community because we have them in the ponds. There's all these like water ponds around Florida, and we have 2 alligators now.
Yeah, no. I would want to be honest with you, fear aside, I would love to fish for the snakeheads down there. Because then you can just club them and throw them right back into the water so the alligators can eat them. That would be kind of cool.
There's a lot of money to be made on the pythons. And we have a green iguana that is eating the indigenous red iguanas, and if you pop them with a BB pellet, the state gives you $25 each.
Wow.
And
That's
then
cool.
they don't want them, so then you sell them to another company and they make food out of it.
Oh, wow.
They call it chicken from the tree. Yeah, you can make a lot of money. I have a buddy down there that makes money getting rid of some of these things like frogs and toads and snakes and whatever. He made $90,000 in cash.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold on right there. We got 15 seconds. Still waiting for our first super chatter of the night. And of course, you could join our new YouTube membership. It'll get you special perks. I promise. I promise you. Here we go, everybody. Here comes second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We got Bryan Bowden coming up with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Bryan Bowden. He is a researcher. He's an author. He's been on television talking all things monsters and legends, and he loves what we do. And we are going to get into curses with him right here on Spaced Out Radio. Bryan, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Interesting stuff, curses. Really, really interesting how it works. And depending on if it's hoodoo, voodoo, Santeria, and then you get into the old world magic, to send curses. I watched this one guy. I just was in contact with him to have him on the show. He's, I think, ye old goth witch. And he learned everything from his Nana, I believe, in Appalachia. And it's just interesting listening to, like, if you have somebody, he tells you all these different curses. If you want to, button someone's lip, they'll tell you exactly how to prepare it and what you need and how to put it together. And I tried one thing because we had some people that were just talking stuff and they wouldn't keep your name out of their mouth. So I tried something with the where you write their name on a piece of paper and you fold it away from you, and then you burn it. But when you're burning it, you say something to the effect of you will no longer have my name will no longer be in your mouth. It burns away like these ash or something to that effect. And I just tried it because I had a couple people in the community that were just being, I'm not going to say because we're censored, but, and it seemed to stop them from, talking things that aren't true and trying to discredit you for, I was running for a seat on the board. But there's some other stuff you can do. I mean, I know people that are, chaos witches. They create chaos spells and they send them to you so that your life becomes chaotic. And I've asked, I'm like, how can you prove that? And this person said, I used to be friends with this person, someone who had a YouTube channel that I knew. And at one point they went like, what the heck? Like, they went nuts. It was like really all over the place, very chaotic. And we thought maybe they were having an issue or a health problem, whatever. And apparently that person that's the chaos witch said, nope. I put that on them because they were spreading rumors and lies and causing me problems. So you don't have time for problems. Life is problematic as it is. So I sent out that spell to them. I mean, technically, you're not supposed to play around with it. But you know,
Look at you being all dangerous like that. Question for you regarding the whole
yes,
cursing aspect of everything.
right.
This has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years, where spirituality has been tested. Going back in Greek Roman times,
Oh
we have
yeah.
it going back to Egypt, everything, cursing in the Bible of people. I mean, this is something that has been taken seriously throughout the spiritual world for millennia. I mean, this isn't something new that people should be shocked about.
No, it's not. I mean, if you've read the Bible, there's tons of curses. The 10 plagues were curses, especially the last one of the firstborn to be unalived during the Egyptian period. But there have always been sorcerers, medicine people, and actually all medicine men are basically it's not a curse. It's the opposite. They're doing spell work. A curse is something you can do to somebody. You're better off in the karmatic scale of doing something good for people and saying, listen, I'm putting this out to make my friends and everybody's lives better. And what you give, you get tenfold. So why would you wouldn't really want to start cursing people, or I don't play with the magic. I just find it fascinating, and I like to see. I've seen some good results with it for other people that have gone to spell makers or casters or witches, or and they've had pretty good results. You know, the problem is that a psychological playing around with your mind, saying like now you're cursed, and all of a sudden you believe it, and you're not really cursed. It's the belief portion of the program. Something good happens, and like it must be that spell. I have a lucky quarter, that's where it comes from, but it doesn't really hurt too much if it, helps you out. I mean, I tell everybody right now, like, so when you go out and in your daily life, you should have some kind of salt in your pocket. I used to put it in a sandwich bag, the Ziplocs, but it looks too much after it, you have too much of it there. It looks like another substance you can get arrested for. So what I usually tell people is when you go to a restaurant and they have those salt packets, grab them, put a couple in your pocket, put them in your car. And if you're ever going into your boss to talk about a raise or something that may have come up, sprinkle a little salt in your shoes before you go in. And somehow it protects you. And salt's been used as a protectant since the beginning of time. They use it for everything. They create salt circles to protect you from, negative energies or demons and that stuff. So it does work, but some people take it too far. That's the problem with everything.
Have you ever been cursed?
I was told there was a curse on my family someplace. And I was friendly with somebody, and we kind of like, I don't do anything demonic. So I definitely don't want to do a book format a book about demons. So I was pissed off, said, I don't want to do it. And they knew I didn't want to do it. And then they wouldn't talk to me because they didn't like my tone. But I know that this individual does curses, practice hoodoo and Santeria. And I'm very cautious on how I deal with certain individuals that are practicing. I don't leave hair samples. I will not leave something I've had, like this drink in my hand. It's touched my lips. That's personalized. And I do my best not to get cursed by somebody, but I'm also a decent human being. Actually, more than a decent human. I'm a good guy. But if they want to go that route, I know other people that can do some good stuff too. The weird part is the Santeria part, which I'm not very familiar with. But I ask all my friends that are from the Latin countries about it, and like, yeah, we practice that because it's like a hoodoo voodoo, and they have these spirits. And I've seen someone's brother sitting in the chair talking to another chair that was empty. And I'm like, what's going on with your brother? He goes, oh no, he's talking to the spirit of something. And I'm like, there's nobody there. And she said, well, we practice Santeria. There is somebody there. And something moved on the table and he wasn't near there. So he was talking to some kind of spirit there. And I think he was trying to convince that to make them an offering so they can protect them from something. But it was weird to see because it's a religion for some of these people. And you don't want to, upset them when they have a religion. That's blasphemy.
No. Is cursing still quite popular today? Just we don't know about it because we're all more individualized and less spiritual for the most part.
You know what? There's a lot of, I don't know what it's like on Instagram or even on Facebook, but I see a ton of, it's basically females, and I see a ton of them that are, say they're practicing witches. I think it's pretty big for the female side of the humanity, and young females, and they get involved in it. Because I met a couple of people that got involved in that type of stuff, and then they went from like light witchcraft into almost dark magic, and one person went into almost Satanism, and then they got pulled back. They got saved. They were born again at that point, and they said it's a very slippery slope. Once you start down that path, you can have a problem. But we all do. I mean, I'm sure you've done it too. Whenever you do, whenever you play with pendulums, you can use a pencil as a pendulum, and you can ask it to be yes, no. You just take a piece of paper, yes, no, maybe, whatever, and spin it, and you ask the spirit for help, and it will dictate. It's no different than a planchette. And that also is technically a little witchcrafty. But I don't really like to play with it. Like, I think people are cursed to begin with. Just look at their lives. What you see in public is not what's going on in the background. Very, very rarely. And I think people play around with stuff they shouldn't.
I was cursed once.
Really?
By a witch. And she was hell-bent because everything she wanted to, I was learning with her, not
Right.
witchcraft, but with all of my experiences that I kind of got fast-tracked with. And she hated the fact that I was getting more attention in our group of friends than she was.
Right.
And she ended up cursing me and taking turning a bunch of friends and even my own daughter against me.
It's actually bizarrely easily to do. There's a lot of jealousy in there. It's they want the fame and the glamour. I think I was cursed because I was interested in somebody, and it went from like casual, like, oh, that's, they're cute, to a lot more obsessive. And when I finally, I was talking to the psychic for our group about something, and I was like, she said, you're way into this, something more going on here. And she pulled me back, said, focus. We started working on focusing and resetting ourselves. And then I started seeing better. And she said, cut this cord, and cut it. And the minute I did even the imaginary cutting of the cord, saying, I'm done with this, I was instantaneous, like I woke up from a spell. It was bizarre. And I know the other person that I was friendly with that is also practicing things, she's used other people in my life to try to send me stuff, and I won't receive it. Like, oh, I got it blessed by, I'm like, yeah, okay. And I throw it in the garbage. I will not take possession, like physically touch the metal. So a lot of times I get things that are in envelopes, And like you get a Solomon's necklace, and nope, I know who it's from, and they're just pissed off because I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do, and I pretty much caught on to their game, and I wasn't succumbing. I think it has to do with free will, a lot more free will. It's unfortunate when you went.
Jealousy seems to play a big part of it, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, what can a curse do against someone who's jealous? I mean, like, let's say I was jealous of you. I didn't ask that very clearly. Let's say I was
Right.
jealous of you and put a curse on there. What does the jealousy do?
You're jealous of me and you curse me because you're jealous. And your reasons are whatever. I have, as you said, 9,000 podcasts, and you want 9,000 podcasts. If it's justified and you put a curse on, and the spirits feel, that yeah, you're overextending yourself on your shows, and you have to be a little bit more diplomatic, it may affect me. Maybe my shows start to tank. Okay, here's the caveat: there's a lot of love spells that people do. They fall in love with somebody and they send a love spell to someone. And if that person is really, truly not in love with that person, or not even attracted to him, or they're not guilty of whatever thing you're saying that they're guilty of, that stuff comes right back to you tenfold. So you gotta be very careful on how you cast things out to people, because if they truly don't deserve it, the universe has its own way of settling. Like, nah, the rules. They have to be, they have to have committed that crime and karma or whatever to deserve that. And what if they don't? It comes back to you. And I've heard horror stories from people sending love spells out, and not only does the person not love them, but any type of relationship they had with them is real over. Like it's now like War of the Roses. Like they hate them. So the reverse happens. If you try to break up a marriage or a relationship that way too, that comes, it gets into the karma zone. Karma is real. It's super real.
What about the idea of, if you deflect a curse, you can reverse it back on the person who cursed you and they get it back tenfold?
You can. It's always tenfold. But what's really interesting is, I don't know if I've seen this usually in the Italian sector. Italian, like people like Little Italy, whatever. Some of the old ladies will always wear necklaces over here that are very like a mirror. And they do that purposely. So if you try to send the evil eye towards them, it hits the mirror and it bounces back to them. So that's a defensive mechanism. And it usually is tenfold. That's like a law of the universe, apparently. And that's been there. If you go back in the history books, you'll see tenfold it will return. If you do good, it'll return to you tenfold. What you put out is what you get. And I've experienced that. And have you ever been really pissed off and you're like, whatever, and you're in a pissy mood, and then something happens and, I don't know, a deer nicks your car and you're like, oh, here we go. And then it keeps propagating and propagating. And that's because negativity begets negativity. I actually worried about being cursed at one point because I was having a really bad day. I couldn't do something. I couldn't. This woman asked me for help in the neighborhood. Never met her. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you, because I had other things I had to do and I had to get back. And the way she stopped me and she goes, oh, you couldn't help me? Oh, you're going to get some help. And she said it like she was sending something my way. And I did have a little issues here and there. And I did have a couple of people say, I think you may have been cursed at one point, but it wasn't powerful enough, or it may have worn off. because curses do wear off. But generational curses, they go for a long, long time.
What would cause, or how would somebody know if they were generationally cursed?
You would probably have to go to like a psychic medium or someone that like really practices, let's say hoodoo, voodoo, a real witchcraft. It's not like an older person that really knows how to communicate with whatever the spirits are involved. And there are probably certain markers there that they can see and like, yeah, you're cursed. They can see, like, I know our psychic, she said, you have something right out your window right now waiting for that one moment to come in and jump on you. But that could be the building too. But it could be a generational curse. And contrary to what everybody says, I believe you can rebuke them. If you're not responsible for what happened 30, 40, 50 years ago, it has nothing to do with you, then that curse should not be traveling through your lineage. That's just my 2 cents.
How do you release a curse?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes there are other, you got to really get the individual that cursed you to release it. And there may be ways of bartering that, from what I understand. I don't know if you can actually have somebody undo the spell work of another, but I think you can have somebody do something to put up enough defensiveness that it kind of neutralizes it. So it's a negative effect, and that may be like undoing the curse. But I do believe the original person that put a curse on you has to remove the curse from you or forgive you. I guess God could.
Pretty powerful one there.
Yeah, I'm hoping. But have you noticed that there are laws to the universe, right? So
yes.
Something about someone does
there are laws to the universe, but with 2.5 minutes to go here before we go to break, at the top of the hour, we were talking curses with Bryan Bowden on Our Cryptid World. Is it just humans that can curse, or can animals curse?
That's a good question. I don't know if an animal can curse, but I know animals are used in curses. Like, there's a curse this guy did, the ye old goth witch, where it creates, you just have massive body odor. Like really bad body odor. And there's nothing you can do about it. And he said, he goes, he was being bullied in school by a couple of kids, and he actually did that to these kids. And it worked. And it worked enough where he just stopped it after a while. But they got the message. They didn't realize they were being cursed, but no one talked to them. And everybody still stayed away from them. So it's kind of interesting. It's fun stuff. I want lottery, winnings.
Now, the big question about cursing, though, getting back to people. If you were cursed, how would you even know?
You would, unless you're in the subject matter like we are in this stuff, where you said, well, maybe I'm cursed. You wouldn't. Someone else would possibly give you recognition that maybe you're cursed. And that would be like, what are you talking about? Well, go see my, card reader, and they may be able to see if you're cursed or not. And there may be almost like an aura about you, that like a beacon that says this one has something on them. But that's the only way you're going to know. Otherwise, you'll just live your life like nothing goes right for me, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And maybe they unalive themselves, or it's just the fact of life. You don't have, I know a couple of people. If you have a room with 100 chairs in it, this person's going to sit in the chair that's broken every time. Some people just have, it's bad luck, but if you know about this stuff, I was throwing garbage out in our apartment building, and I saw a clear bottle on the floor. And on the metal cap, there was an N written, in like a Sharpie, and I'm like, that may be Santeria. We have people that practice Santeria around this neighborhood in New York City, because you drive down a couple of streets. I'm like, is that a chicken? Yeah. You see the goat tied up to the tree on the other side?
Bryan Bowden, hour 1 is done. Hour 2 coming up next. We're going to get into his favorite Dogman stories when we return. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy, we're going to take a quick break here. I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to take a break and I'll put you in the green room, or do you want to hang out with the people?
I'll hang out with the people. I'm smoking a cigarette. They want to say things, I'll answer some questions.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Supernatural Station, how you doing?
Yeah, who was it that asked if you can curse yourself? And I think you can curse yourself. My dad would say it's called marriage. You know, I don't really play around with it. I just find it fascinating how it works. Yes, I am, Joe. Nicotine's good for you. It's something I got to stop eventually too, but I don't do anything else, so might as well. Yeah, a lot of gray areas. A lot of folklore comes from. It's really weird. This is why I like this guy, Ye Old Goth Witch, because his grandmother used to teach him these things. Now, she probably heard it from her parents and so on and so forth. But this is just like everything else, where they find out what plants are good for you. Don't eat that one. That other guy died from doing it. You know, they find out where the poison is. And, I think it's a little bit of folklore and a little bit of magic. Am I with Spaced Out Radio? I am helping Dave out in this time slot for a little bit, because the original individual was not doing well. So we're wishing them prayers, healing, recovery, blessings. And I would like to be sleeping right now. It's been a long, long day. I think you can, in some of them, you can reverse a curse, but I don't think all of them. You know, sometimes curses, all you got to do sometimes is tell them that you just put a curse on them, and their psychology, their mind will just play tricks on them. A lot of it's just how you say it, and there's nothing curse related to it. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. No, they're not saying that. No, it has nothing to do with those novels at all. Dogman is just the name, because it's a dog. It's a bipedal cryptid that looks like a canine or a dog. Thanks, Woo. That's great with the Dutch oven. Andrew, that's awesome. Yeah, that could be a curse. Chiquetta, I believe the same thing. it's all about how you go about life. That's why I have a belief in God. I'm very spiritual, but I have a belief in God. And I believe if you're a good individual, good things will happen to you. And you'll be protected from harm by others. You know, anything that comes out of jealousy is, or one of the sins, the lust and all that stuff, it's already in a negative state. So it's not necessarily going to work. But I'm sure there's a couple of witches and warlocks in the chat that know a lot more. But I just find it fascinating. Yeah, Truth Seeker. That's what I was trying to say. Like, there are rules to the universe, and sometimes what happens is, like, when evil's going to do something, they have to warn you. They say, "Hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z," and if nobody says or balks at it, then your silence becomes consent in the universal term.
All right, Brian, I'm going to get you to hold on right there.
Sure.
And a big thank you tonight to Mama Catherine, Birthday Oob, and Necessary Dialogue for the great super chats. Thank you to Dutch Hank for becoming our newest member on our YouTube channel. Thank you very, very much. There are little pieces of fun that'll start next week if you are a member on our YouTube channel. So it might be something you want to think about. And if you have questions for Brian, I will try and get to them here in hour 2. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Great to have you with us as we collide with Big Bad Bryan Bowden, the man, the myth, and the podcast legend right here on the show for Our Cryptid World. Bryan is based out of Florida, in New York right now, hanging on out, eating some great pizza and food. Oh, I want to go to New York just to eat the food. I do. Hey, before we bring Bryan back on, we do want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I don't even know what this is. Dacriops? Dacriops is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let us bring in Bryan Bowden, the man, the myth, the paranormal legend, as he breaks down Dogman right now. Now, yes. Here's one of the things that scares the daylights out of me, Bryan, is the thought of encountering this creature. You have done it. You have seen it with your own eyes. Oh, yeah. This werewolf-like creature that stands between 7 and 8 feet tall. Yeah. It never has a good feeling to it. Tell us about it.
It's not my favorite cryptid. I don't like them. I've had 2 really nice encounters with them where I think the first encounter was at about a 12 to 15 foot distance, and it was at night. And I think I made it perplexed by my actions that I was doing. I was doing something that at a dominance, saying that I'm the alpha and you're not. And the second one was by accident because I was taking some people to go see Bigfoot, or trying to get a Bigfoot sighting or tree knocks or something like that. And the path that they were supposed to go on was overgrown. I wasn't up in New York at the time, so I didn't realize that the path was covered up. So they went down the wrong path. And we came up against something that was probably about 6-7 foot. And it looked like the soldier type of dog, man, but like a younger version of it. Big canines. And and the lip was curled, and you know, it had the long claws on the hands. I didn't see the feet because it was only from like the waist up. It was at about 20 yards out, and it basically started to, like, you know, growl like a low, like, and possibly infrasound base. And the two people that encountered it were not prepared for it. So I walked them out. They were going to turn around and go. I'm like, don't turn around, walk backwards. And they still don't talk to me to this day. So it really played on their psyche. It's unnerving. It really is unnerving. It's not something you want to see. It's literally like the Van Helsing werewolf or American Werewolf in London. You don't want to see that. You know, when you think of something like on all fours, you're thinking like puppy dogs and, you know, German Shepherd's pretty imposing, but that German Shepherd would be 100,000% more imposing if it was 7 feet tall, wouldn't it? And then growling at you. It's not a good creature. I don't like it.
How do you know if you're in a dogman area?
They make structures too, like Bigfoot. You know, Bigfoot does the lean to, you know, trees and the X's, some stars on the ground. Dogmen like to go like a notch up. They're like the rock stars of making these things. They physically pull trees out of the ground, and the roots are there, and then they turn them upside down. And then they connect other trees to it, so they make almost like an umbrella. It's very impressive when you see a dogman's work, because it's heavy duty. You can see the strength in these animals, or cryptids, or whatever they are. To pull a 3-foot diameter tree out of the ground, even a 1 foot would be virtually impossible for human beings, and keep the root system on it. So, you know, I've seen up to 3 feet, and I actually walked under one. I had photos of it, and my buddy Al had photos of it. And for some reason, we put them online in our repository, and we can't find them. I mean, they were good photos. It was a perfect example of a dogman structure. They do that, and they usually have, you know, I want to call them centuries. They walk the perimeter, and they're very much more aware of their surroundings. But if you have dogmen, you have Bigfoot, and vice versa. And you usually have something that separates them. So you'll have a river, or a mountain, or something that says you stay on your side and we'll stay on our side. Because they do not get along with each other for the most part.
What is the creepiest dogman story you've ever heard?
Something was it kind of unnerving, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned on this show, but there was maybe it was Vic's show. I don't remember who said it, but it was really creepy and you'll understand why. Guy goes out hunting in the woods, and, you know, it's a hunting weekend. He drives a couple 100 miles, 200 miles to his destination, and he's ready to set up. He's going to be in the woods. He's going to go camping and hunting. And when he comes up against a dogman, he's walking through the woods, got a 308, and this thing comes out of nowhere and kind of just makes its presence known. The guy freaks out, and he's taking the rifle, and he doesn't know. He's scared at this point. Again, you're seeing a 7-foot werewolf. This should not exist. And he hears the dogman say in his mind, "Don't do it." Meaning, don't pull that trigger. Warning him. And he pulls the trigger, and he unleashes an entire magazine into this thing. Well, he gets out of there as fast as possible. He's reloading, gets in his car, and he drives 200 miles back to his place. He's freaked out. He doesn't want to talk to anybody about it, and he lives in a house that is in the suburbs. But there's some wooden property in his house. It's not like real, like deep woods, and in under 24 hours, he has 4 dogmen at his house, and they are looking to kill him, unalive him. They tracked him for 200 miles, and
What?
they tracked him to his home for 200 miles.
How?
Scent. Do you understand the radius of hunting for a regular wolf? Like a coy wolf? It's a 150-mile radius. It's not unheard of. Now take something that's bigger, and I'm sure their hunting radius is further than that. But I also believe that, like, every human being has some kind of electronic signature to them created through their DNA, like a unique electronic identifier that says you're Dave, I'm Bryan, everybody's in. There's just Jeff Garvey there, and and they know who's who, and they may have tapped into that frequency, but I think, from what I understand, I would wager it was they literally did it with scent alone, and they surrounded his house and they ripped it to shreds, and he barely got out alive. I mean, they really messed him up. They went in, knocked the door down, totally ripped through everything, and went crazy because they were protecting their pack. Now, from my personal experience, even when we came up on that young one, I think that was by accident. I don't think that thing was expecting us to be there, and I sure as heck wasn't going in that direction, telling them to go there. I think it was one of those, you bump into things. I just saw something out of Canada where this guy's going down his driveway and the bear's coming out and they kind of look at each other, and they both run this opposite direction, like cartoon-esque. So normally, for me, dogmen, they have, if you have one in front of you, you have another one on your 6. They work in pairs. It's like a pack mentality. So that was pretty creepy that they would track him that far down and do what they did. But another one I got from a gentleman, I had an encounter or an experience with dogmen. I told it on the show. I went to my cousin's house in Delaware, but I stayed in Maryland, and right over the border, exit 109 if you want, on 95. And I said, this is pretty, it had a vibe to it. Like the woods behind the hotel had a vibe. There's a railroad track, so there's a pathway for this thing to travel without getting seen. So I looked up werewolves, Elkton, Maryland. Sure enough, husband and wife were driving down, not that far from where this hotel is actually, and they saw a roadkill and something eating the roadkill, and they thought it was a dog or something, until the dog stood up and it had the big amber eyes and stayed on 2 feet. And they both said that this thing like got in their brain and like messed with them, scared the hell out of them. They went home, and for a couple of weeks they were having nightmares of this thing, as if telepathically this thing, like, you need to go now or we'll kill you or whatever they do. But I get so I'm having an experience at this hotel enough where I heard something. I saw the amber eyes, the big amber eyes, and they kept moving. I heard the foot, fall on the leaves. And then I heard something kind of creeping up on the right side, and I'm like, I'm out. I was very uncomfortable. I got that it wasn't a good vibe. And I went back into the hotel room, and I told the other half, like, don't go to the side entrance. There's, I made it up, skunks or whatever, if you're going to smoke a cigarette. They're very attracted to cigarette smoke. That's why a lot of people that get attacked by them are always out with cigarettes or walking the dog and have cigarettes. But so
Hold on a second. I never put that together, because tobacco has always been an offering of peace and friendship.
not for everybody.
Not for the dogmen.
No, maybe they're Jones then, but they're very attracted to it. They like the smell. And they know that throughout history, if you're smoking outside your home, you're usually alone. They'll know if there's a pack, but 99% of the time, you just run out, you have your cigarette because you don't want to smoke in the house, or you got yelled at, stop smoking in the house. So you go smoke it outside and you're by yourself. And you're by yourself for a couple of minutes. You're easy prey. But, so what unnerved me was when someone heard that, my experience, they live near there. And this was kind of freaky. He says, my daughter was running on, I forgot the roadway, but the roadway has old railroad tracks on it in the woods. And then it also has a couple of pathways. And she's an avid runner. She's young. And she said that when she started running, she felt uneasy, like she was being watched. So she took her headphones off and was running, and she heard something in the woods pacing her everywhere she went. So she would move a little bit to the right, so it would move over to the right. And she got to a certain point where there were other cars there, and she kind of got away and ducked away eventually, but she stopped running in that area. And he's gone out. The father went out there because I think he was former law enforcement, and you got to protect your kid. And he's like, when I got out there, I felt I was by myself. No one was on the road. It's a rural country road. And he goes, something was definitely watching me. My spidey senses kicked in, and he was going to go in the woods to look for tracks or whatever it was. But his daughter, he told her, don't run by that area anymore. Find a different place to run. That's weird. Like when they start stalking you, that's what's the angle here? Now you got to think like, am I the prey now? If you have an experience when you go out there, because you do have Bigfoot, you very well could have Dogman. And I'll be brutally honest. Have you ever hunted moose?
I've been on moose hunts, yes.
Okay. So when you hunt moose, you don't shoot the moose in the chest. You shoot it from the side, right?
Yes.
Why?
Because it exposes the heart more.
Yeah, and because there's so much flesh built up, it almost acts as a bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people, I said, one, if you can get out without shooting at it, it'd be your best option, because the other way is a death sentence. They do not take kindly to it. And you putting a bullet in, it's just going to be, you're just pissing it off. In order to really take this thing down, you have to use heavy and higher caliber, 50. And then you have to go for the sweet spots. Because if you don't take it out and you piss it off and it calls in others, you're not that fast enough. It's going to take you out.
All you need to remember is if you're out in the forest and you see something big tracking you down, just tell your slowest friend sorry and, kick them in the leg so they fall and you can get out just safely.
It's
just that easy.
Like, we got to bring Timmy. Why? He's got a wheelchair. Like, don't worry about it. Just bring Timmy. Or in our case, we could bring Mark Eddy in. Mark and, use him as bait.
We could use Mark as bait. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I love Mark. I really do love Mark. He's amazing.
He's a wonderful human being, and he's a good co-host on my one show. But yeah, like that's the creepy part about it. The thing can track you that distance, and then the other one's tracking you to get, pacing you. That is where it gets weird. Very, very weird.
5 minutes to go before we have to go to break. Let's hear another Dogman encounter that put the goosebumps on you?
Now, one that was pretty cool was a woman lived up by a logging road. I don't know, I think it may have been Maine or Washington, or Oregon or Washington. I forgot the state. And she's the type, she has that living off the land thing in the cabin, walking her dog, and she walks the dog at night, whatever. And as she's walking down this logging road, she's getting the rocks thrown at her. She's like, what the heck's going on? And she keeps walking down the path. The dog keeps going, rocks, more rocks. And they're coming, and she's like, I don't understand what the hell's, trying to figure out who's kicking up the rocks, figuring maybe it was a dog, but it wasn't. And she gets to a certain point, and a Bigfoot steps out into the roadway, like trying to block her. So she freaks out. The dog's nuts. The dog takes off, continues to go straight. So she's running down there and trying to get her dog and also get the hell away from the Bigfoot. And not that far down that road, she said, we came up against 2 or 3 things that looked like werewolves having a party. And basically what was happening is, and then she turned around and went back. But basically the Bigfoot was trying to stop her from going down there because he knew there were dogmen down there. And that was a pretty damn cool story. I think these things know what we are as human beings, and they don't want that woman to be had for dinner.
What about the telepathy?
With a dogman? See, I didn't have any of that telepathy. I'm waiting for that moment, but a lot of reports of that. A lot of people saying that they felt the dogman is in their mind. It's almost like they, when they saw the yellow eyes, and the eyes kind of like almost got bigger in size, felt like they were talking to him, and they went into their soul, and they had nightmares after nightmares with that. And they both like parties, like the husband and wife that came up on this thing. They both had the same nightmare. So was it a nightmare, or were they able to get to them through a dream state? Because they knew how to, that they were connected to, you can call it the Akash record, but source of information. And they invaded their dreams. I've heard tons of stories of people like they felt like they were being talked to, stay out of the woods, stay out of the woods. And I know people that don't go in the woods anymore because they've had an encounter with that cryptid. And no one, you won't believe me when I tell you. And I tell them, like, I investigate all this crazy stuff. Just tell me. And they had a dogman encounter. And I said, well, we're going to go in the woods. We'll all go. He goes, nope, I'm not going in there. That thing got in my brain, and it was talking to him at night, and it really messes them up. Whereas when I hear the Bigfoot mind, the mind speak, or whatever they want to call it, it's, a lot simpler. It's more cordial, and it's a peaceful thing. A lot of people report like, this is great. I had this peaceful moment. I was talking to this huge creature, and they'll give you the name of it and whatever, That's why I don't like this. I really hate the damn dog, man. I hate it. It's just, there's nothing positive going for it, even though nothing happened to me on both occasions. And I'm actually hearing more and more encounters where the dogmen are running from humans when they sight them in the forest. Something came into NADP, and I believe it was in Manitoba, Canada. The guys walking, went out for a hike, and there's like a stream or something in between them, and he sees something that looks really weird that's walking, and he stops to take a look at it at a clearing. It's on the other side of the river, and he said this was a bipedal dog, and then it had amber eyes, and once it knew what he was, it kind of got scared away, went on all fours, and went through the woods. So we have stories of them going on all fours too, and then going to 2.
Bryan, when we get back from the break here, we're going to take some audience questions about dogman and other creatures. This is Bryan Bowden, our guest tonight on Our Cryptid World, right here on Spaced Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Michael Gutierrez, how you doing? Sherry Diane, nice to see you. Who else snuck in that I didn't see?
Moody says that I can't compete with your beard. I when it gets longer, hockey season, it comes down. I could probably be an extra on the monster, Mountain Mousers or
JBD, how you doing?
oh, smoky time.
You need a stogie. No, not a smoky. You need a stogie.
I have them.
You look good smoking a cigar.
Oh, I do. I play golf. I smoke cigars. My dad used to smoke fucking tree trunks. He looked exactly like Lou Albano.
Did he have the elastic bands pierced to his face too?
He had the crazy shirts. The hair was out, and we put the elastic bands in his beard. My hand to God, Dave, we would come out of a lot of people in Connecticut. They would that's Captain Lou. Exactly. I'll send you a picture.
Captain Lou Albano was awesome.
Yeah. He and he would wear the shirts open with his chest exposed and had the same coloring, that Italian whatever. It was weird. But he'll just look like Lou Albano.
Very nice. Very nice.
Well, that's not a good shot because it's older. So.
I like it. That's a nice, good beard there.
Oh yeah. He had a bald spot in his beard right here. I'm like, Dad, what happened? He goes, a little baby pee-peed on me and went bald. So one day, I didn't know he did it. He shaved the top of his mustache off, so he just had the beard. And I'm walking through it. I'm like, hey, how's it going, Lincoln? Like he was insane. He was a paparazzi. He sold the Jennifer Flowers photos to the Star. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Polly Rotterman, how are you? Hope you're well.
I can't wait to hit the bed. Got to get up for this mutt, though.
Classy Freddie Blassie pushed Cosmic Joe with his cane and called me a pencil neck geek when he was with Hulk Hogan. That is amazing, Cosmic Joe. Loved Classy Freddie Blassie.
So when I there's a hospital down at where the elevated train is, and one of my family members was in it, but I had to leave the hospital. I'm walking out by Columbia University, and I'm walking down the street, and who's coming at me? George the Animal Steele.
Nice.
But he's a professor at Columbia, so he's not George the Animal Steele at that point. And I'm like, George the Animal Steele. He goes, I'm going to work. Yeah.
Very nice. George the Animal Steele looked like he was 70 years old in the 80s, man.
Yeah, he did. He just, and he was one of the nicest guys ever. He was a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were great. I almost interviewed for position at WWE. It was WWF at the time, though.
Good buddy of mine was hired to be a play-by-play announcer for WWE,
Oh, that's
and
great.
he lasted about a year and a half until JBL bullied him right out of the company, and he ended up having a nervous breakdown over it and sued.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mauro Ronaldo is his name.
You know,
1 second here, Brian. Sorry to cut you off there. Mama Catherine, Joe, and Necessary Dialogue, thank you for your great super chats. And thank you to Dutch Hank for joining our new membership on our YouTube channel. We very much appreciate your love, everybody. Here we go with the next half hour coming in 7 seconds. Go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got the man, the myth, and the podcast legend, Bryan Bowden, with us for a great little ditty that we call Our Cryptid World. Before we bring Bryan in for the next segment, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, here we go. Bryan Bowden, the man with 8,349 podcasts simultaneously running. We don't know how he does it, but we're going to take some audience questions here for you, Bryan. Thank you for always making time for us.
It's my pleasure.
Jerence Carter is kicking things off tonight. What about the Stephen King movie Thinner? Can you starve a person with a curse?
Yes, you can. You can starve a person. You can bloat a person, a glutton. You can do anything like that. And it's interesting because I know I've been in the area. I have family in Maine. We used to go up there all the time. And there's something about carny people that is a little bit unnerving. And they have these local carnivals. And the woman that was in there that created it, and the gypsy guy, I've seen those people in person, actually in the town that they filmed it in. But not the characters, the people that were doing the carnivals, the local traveling stuff. To a T.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
right,
weird.
Let's move on to Jose. He's got a ton of questions for you.
Okay.
Have dogmen ever been seen in big cities or just in countryside or forest areas?
In 1887, in Broadway of New York City, a dogman was presented itself there, and half of the West Side Police Force was fighting this creature and shooting at it. It's in the police record. Yes, they do appear in cities. But then again, it's the 1800s, so it's not as vast as now. I mean, they would have a great time in the city.
All right, let's move on with another one here, my friend.
Sure.
Bryan, have you heard of the story of the military shooting a dogman and later may have performed an autopsy on it? Not sure of the latter.
Yeah, I got contacted by somebody long about 10 years ago, 2015-ish, because I didn't believe in the dogman. It was an all-zero number, and it said USG. And I've had that before because I contacted the U.S. Marshals, and it's all zeros. And when I picked up the phone, I went, hello, and this voice in the other line was like, oh, so you don't believe in these cryptids or these creatures? They do exist. And he continued to explain to me he's part of a unit that comes in. They usually protect bases or military installations. but they are sometimes charted out to go to like these national forests where some of these cryptids go a little bit back, crazy, and they surround it and they take it out. One incident was a couple years ago. They did it in Colorado. There was a report. You'll get a report that there's a wild bear or a rabid bear or whatever. So the military took over a forest, a national forest in Colorado, and they put I don't know, I remember it was 5 or 15-mile radius around it. And there was one person that says, and he swears because he lives near there, they would hear the black helicopters fly by, and one night they heard they saw a fleet of them, and underneath it was this. It looked, when they pick up a body and on like the metal thing, to rescue it. It was kind of like that, but it looked like it was like a physical, a really large being underneath there. So yeah, I've heard about that, and I've also heard that they like to try to capture them alive and bring them in, and they may make super soldiers out of them, because anything that can be used as a killing machine, our governments want to, shot at replicating.
Let's go next to Jay Trueseeker. What do you think of a dogman dream where in the dream there is a black dogman that allows you to pet it?
That's actually interesting. It depends.
I was thinking that.
That's really interesting. Is it like really, really detailed where you can see and you remember all the details, because you may be having an experience versus a dream? There's two different parts of that. When you go to sleep, you get uploaded to source, or and then they download stuff into you for what they want you to do or what you're going to experience for the day. And sometimes they leave you a hint, or they'll use you to do something to trigger it down the line, the next day. And those are experiences. Sometimes the hints are dreams. They're very vague, but that's very interesting. There's a black dog that allows you to pet it. I mean, maybe you're subconsciously hoping that these things really aren't as violent or evil as a lot of people portray them. I mean, they're kind of unnerving. They're very unnerving. So, and then you want to kind of subconsciously, you go to sleep after this show and you have dogman dreams. I would say that was psychologically put into your head because you were watching something with it. And you want to take away the fear of it. So you allow it they let you pet it. Other than that's kind of weird. Can they go in your dreams? Yeah, they've gotten into people's heads, like I just said. So maybe we have a couple of them that are going to be more of an ambassador and saying, hey, we're not really that bad. And don't, they need a better PR team. There's a lot of reports lately in NADP on gray or white dogmen, not black and not brown, like an all white one. A lot of reports of them. So I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of, it's becoming unusual. It's like one here and there, but now there are more of them. Maybe they're evolving into another species.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Let's go to Derek here. Sir Bryan Bowden, do you believe the phenomena targets families? If so, do you know why?
I'm assuming, Woo, that the phenomenon of the dogman, because we've been talking about that lately, I think they would. I don't know if they would target a family, but if a family, keeps going out and, the father goes out and the sons go out with shotguns, there's multiple individuals involved in doing something to the dogman community, they're going to target everybody. Or if we have a case of a Kengal, those big, dogs. There's a person in Kentucky that has chicken farm, and he has Kangals there, and the dogs are ginormous, and they're a little bit unnerved by the dogmen, but they feel that they're being targeted because they have chickens. So if you get rid of the humans, then you get your chickens or whatever else you want.
I don't know what chickens have to do with anything, but that's okay.
It's food, you
It's
know.
always food. Jose is asking, there's a lot of talk of dogmen from people's perspective. Do you think that most wild animals like hyenas and lions may have also crossed paths with them?
I do. I mean, I think there's a chart of like the variants of dogmen, some of them look like hyenas, some look more like baboons. It's really weird. I think there are animals that do cross paths with these cryptids or these creatures. I've heard. I mean, one of my friends had a place upstate New York, and he had Jack Russells, and they would go in the field and start playing with some other dogs. He's like, "Oh, those are cool dogs." No, they're coyotes. So, if you have a hyena and one of the dogmen looks like a hyena, maybe there is a scent involved with it where they kind of just accept them, the animals, and they don't do anything foolish to them. So yeah, they very well should be crossing a path, especially in the wild.
Next up, let's go to Cosmic Joe here. What do you think about all of the artificial intelligent Bigfoot YouTube videos right now?
It's very frustrating. And as
You
a
don't like 'em?
researcher, I mean, you know what the problem is? I mean, I do like them. You sent me one the other day giving me the finger, but, and it's fun and it's funny. And what I liked about it was more an adult humor thing, which is great, and now they're branching into Mothman. They're branching into the Jersey Devil and some other cryptids, which is even better. But it's like everything else. Everybody is just overdoing it. It's overdone. But as far as, artificial intelligence, look how good those things look. And that's the problem. Like when you have evidence that comes out, I just posted something about someone supposedly 18-wheeler hitting a Bigfoot. And I'm looking for the telltale signs of artificial intelligence, 6 fingers on the hand or a couple of them missing or one, coming out of the neck. But I mean, it looks interesting. I want people's opinion. I'd like to see the body. But it gets frustrating sometimes. Like it's too much. Like move on. Jacqueline was pretty good though.
All right, moving on to another question.
Yeah.
I got to say, before we even go there, I like those videos, but you know what? You could tell people are starting to take them a little bit too far. I don't want to be the bad person, the Karen of the field that says it's too far, but they seem to be getting a little bit more racy and racial and
yeah. And that's where the problem is coming, like they're taking it to a different level. And it's someone wrote Man Bear Pig. Yeah. South Park. Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's another reason why I don't like it,
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Josephus. Thoughts on reality and it being classified in the 1990s. I've never heard this.
I've never heard it being classified in the 1990s at all. The first time I kind of heard about dogmen was definitely in the 2000s, but in the teens, like maybe 2012. I'll take that back. If you look up St. Christopher is depicted as a dog-headed individual. And there are individuals that have, I forgot the name of the term, but they're hairy and they look like, hair all over their bodies like werewolves. So things have been there and there's a specific disease for that. But as far as the dogman itself, first time I heard about it was from my buddy. And he said, go listen to Vic Cundiff. And I listened to Vic Cundiff. And I heard the stories. And I'm like, we jumped the shark on this one. And then you have encounters. And then you hear from people. It's real. And it's really unnerving. It doesn't matter unless he came up and said, oh, I'm really sorry. I'll put my teeth away. And had some kind of interaction where it wasn't as imposing. That's what I would need. There is a story about a farmer that he had prize cattle on his farm, and it was being cut up and slaughtered and slashed. And the guy thought it's the dogman because he knew he had dogmen at the end of the property and some other animals, and he was going to take it out on them. But what happened was, and I've heard this one, the dogmen actually took a proactive stance, and they went to the farm and they said, "It's not us. There's another being on this property, and it's cutting them up. You need to pay attention at XYZ time," or something like that. And that's when they saw the rakes on the property. You know, the long white things with the extended arms and like almost like, shears at the end of their fingers, and they were destroying the cattle. So they didn't want to be shot at. Like, we didn't do it, because I'm sure those things may not do a half the stuff they do, and they may just be blamed for it because of the way they appear,
Mm-hmm. Let's go to another question.
Sure.
Let's go next to, let's see, back to Jose here. When somebody does you a wrong and they think that it was that or they're on top of the world, will karma visit them?
100%. I've seen it happen. You wrong somebody, the universe will take you out. I see it all the time. All the time. I've gotten wronged, and they thought they were king, whatever. It wasn't me, but they got found out pretty quick. People make mistakes when they get too cocky. And, that's why with these curses, if you're doing something, you're trying to be boastful and you start getting cocky, like, oh, I'm untouchable. That's always when you get burnt. But I've seen that. I've seen karma take people out.
And here I thought karma was a guy on the Chiefs, but that's just me.
Yeah. Okay,
Are dogmen always black, or no? We've asked that one. I apologize.
Yeah.
Would it be safe to say that the dogman may be much more aggressive and hyperactive than Bigfoot?
Yes, 100% more aggressive. They're really intelligent. They know what they're doing, and they may feed a little bit off of the fear component. Like, that I talked about the Hat Man. They come in the room and everybody's like, they got fear. It's kind of like Monsters Inc. Some of the creatures that go interdimensionally, they live off your fear. There's an adrenaline thing that they eat that, and it's like filling their batteries. And I think the dogmen are very aggressive and hyperactive because they know what they can do. It's unpredictable. They're ducking and weaving, growling at you, going right in your face. And you just can't judge it. Where Bigfoot is like hiding behind a tree for the most part. They don't want to be, encountered. Leave us alone.
Bigfoot will sometimes, I don't want to say be aggressive, but will let its area known that it is around, it is there, and you're not going to change its mind to move. But
right.
Do you think, though, that a lot of Bigfoot's actions are taken as violent, but really aren't violent? They're actually just the way they do things because they're so strong.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that, when you see those trees being going back and forth, we've seen some videos like that. And that's like kids playing. We did that to the monkey bars in the park across the street. We would get so violent with them that it would we probably damaged them, but they do that too. And there's, not everybody has a good day. So some of them are going through a rut period. They're young. They don't have a mate and they want a mate. And they're like, get the heck away from me type of thing. And they get aggressive, but Bigfoot likes human flesh too. And, it still does a lot of really unnerving things as well, but I think it's more palatable, and I think there's a degree of, I don't want to say understanding, but they know who we are, and they know what they have to be in a certain way with us, because they know what happens if they do something too aggressive. They're going to send in other people, and their Bigfoot are going to get killed, and dogmen are going to get killed. That's why they're kind of like, stop, leave us alone, let us do our thing, and they go their way. What is the first thing we do? We bring in people with guns, and and the guy calling me, telling me he works for the military and different branch, but they're weird.
Let's go to another question, Brian.
Sure.
Let's go to Paramarv. Have you ever been up investigating the Bray Road area, specifically the retired teacher who says he has thousands of pics?
No, Marv, I have not been up the Bray Road. Actually, I may be able to get up there sometime this year because there's supposed to be a conference near it. And if I'm going to be near it, I'll drive the 3 hours to it. And there's a lot of people. I'm telling you, and even in Pennsylvania, there is a lot of local people that know these things are in the woods and have seen them like full-fledged, boom, there they are. And they just go about their business because they know if they go about their business, those things go away and do their thing. But a lot of people don't want to talk about it. When people talk about skinwalkers and wendigos, the natives, the indigenous do not want to talk. Don't mention that name. He who must not be named, like Baltimore.
Have you ever been around a skinwalker or a wendigo?
I haven't been around any one of them at all at this point. But I was talking to somebody about I'm trying to get onto the Navajo reservation and to go with the Navajo law enforcement there. So that may be that's a little unnerving too. That's no joke. Skinwalker is a transformer. The Wendigo is something different. It's that, like that skull horn of a deer it's evil. We were going on investigation in upstate New York, and one of the guys there goes, they have underground military bases here that are abandoned. We can go in them. So we're like, oh, cool. That'll be a great trip. And then our psychic called us back the day later. Where are you going? What are you doing? We're like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're not going any place. Don't go in those caves, those bases. And we're like, how the hell did you know that? Well, in the middle of the night in Arkansas, she got visited by a Wendigo. And it came and it told her, don't let them come here. And she was so unnerved. She didn't even know what the heck it was. She goes, it was the most horrific thing she's ever seen. It had antlers and horns. And I said, you did the search. I sent it to her. I go, is this what you saw? She goes, yes, that's exactly what it is. And we said, it's a Wendigo. And he smelled like rotting flesh. She got up at 3, and after that was over, got up, salted her property, and didn't go back to bed. But I'd love to go to Bray Road. Have you had Jay
we got time for one more, buddy?
Sure.
I think we got time for one more.
Sure.
And it was the comedy of Moody Mongol here. How do we test for a dogman in our midst? Does waving a stick around in front of them trigger them to reveal themselves? Looks at Dave intensely.
It's actually funny. I wrote I saw a show on TV about these two guys surviving. The two military guys out surviving in the savannah. It was like 200 degrees or whatever it was. They ran out of water. And one of these guys, this was like 3 a.m. one of these guys went up and like fresh elephant dung, took it, put it in his bandana, and squeezed the juice of the elephant dung into the mouth of his partner, who looked horrified. So I'm like, I'm writing these stories. So I wrote the World and Time of Sir Bryan Bowden. And I did a story about a werewolf. And in it, the guy gets the werewolf's attention by using a femur as a stick, and he whistles. and he throws it. I tried to do it as an old radio show. It was great.
Bryan, I got to cut you off right there because it's time for us to say goodnight to you. But thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio for our cryptid world. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller, then Little Timmy James with the UFO report. We'll be right back, everybody. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
No
Go
problem.
get some
Thank
sleep,
you.
my friend.
You got it, Marv. Thanks for posting those links. I appreciate it. Good night. Have a blessed day, everybody. And let me know if you need me again. You know.
You have a good one, buddy.
You got
Talk
it. Bye.
soon, okay, brother?
You got it.
Later. The Bryan Bowden right there. I'll be right back, everybody. All right. Say hi to little Timmy James.
What's going on?
What's happening, buddy?
Well, living the dream. Nightmares are dreams too.
Nice. Hi, Miss Tessa Marie. Hi, Boondock. Good to have you. Anybody else I missed? I don't think so. "30 seconds. Thank you to Mama Catherine, Necessary Dialogue, and Birthday Joe for the super chats, along with a big thanks to Dutch Hank for joining our YouTube membership. We really appreciate that. We're going to start having some fun with you guys next week. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Swamp Dwellers, just a hair under 3 minutes, okay?
You got her.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Dacriops. Dacriops is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Let me start off by saying that Alabama is a weird and wonderful place. Sure, we have a sort of redneck vibe going on, but the state is actually a very beautiful and nice place to live in. The state is no stranger to paranormal events, especially in the UFO and alien category. An example of this is the Falkville Metal Man. Interesting story there. Anyways, this experience came from my sophomore year of high school. At the time, movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Interstellar sort of put my interest into space. I would periodically lay out in my backyard, listening to music, and gaze up at the stars. Just sitting there imagining what goes on up there, just relaxing. Occasionally, I would see a moving star, but would always attribute those to planes. Except this one star was far off from a plane, and I, for some reason, just kept my eyesight on it. It was going west, when suddenly, it instantly changed directions at a 90-degree angle, then started going south. I was confused, so I kept staring at it. A few seconds later, it changed directions instantly again, and this time it was going west. Only after it changed course, it revealed itself to not be a star. Something appeared behind the star. It was oval-shaped, glowing orange, and was massive. It made no noise, and started glowing extremely bright. I sat there in disbelief and kept my gaze on it. It looked like, upon further examination, that the star was in front of some sort of aircraft. It silently moved across the sky over my house and then suddenly just disappeared. The star was still there, and it was still moving. I was sitting there intrigued, hoping the craft would glow again, but the star soon faded into the night sky and disappeared itself. I ran inside and asked my family if they saw anything, assuming they would be considering the thing in the sky was glowing extremely bright. However, none of them saw anything. I wrote this down in my journal, which I had used to recall all sorts of weird paranormal events that I either research or experience. What makes the story weirder is that an hour later, military aircraft were out all over the sky. I don't know if that's normal, and we do sometimes see airplanes fly over our house, but never this many. There were dozens of airplanes, all seemingly scanning the sky. I've never told anybody what happened. My friends wouldn't believe me considering I come from a conservative environment, where people would scoff at the idea of anything outside of Earth. I still don't know what I saw that night, but I'm pretty sure it was a UFO.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story about UFOs tonight. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you got a bunch of little time for you to listen to these creepy stories. All right, time for the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, little Timmy James in the hot seat right now for the UFO report. Tim, always good to have you here.
And always good to be here, my friend.
What do you got for us tonight?
Well, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Nothing too mind-blowing or earth-shattering, but started off tonight with the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer proposes a UAP Disclosure Act as the NDAA amendment. So on July 29th of 2025, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer introduced the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon Disclosure Act, the UAPDA, as a proposed amendment to the fiscal year 2026 National Defense Authorization Act. The legislation, co-sponsored by Senator Mike Rounds, aims to mandate the declassification and public release of government records related to unidentified anomalous phenomenon, commonly known as UAP or UFOs. The amendment seeks to establish a UAP records collection at the National Archives and create an independent review board to oversee disclosure decisions. So this is about transparency for the American people. Transparency, there's that word. Schumer said in a statement, the public has a right to know about the phenomena that defy explanation, and this amendment ensures records are preserved and reviewed for release unless national security demands otherwise. The UAPDA includes provisions for the federal government to exercise eminent domain over any recovered technologies of unknown origin or biological evidence of non-human intelligence held by private entities. We're not just talking about sightings, Round emphasized. This is about ensuring any materials or evidence, wherever they are, come under government oversight for the public, or for the public good. The amendment faces an uncertain path, as I think all of us know. While it builds on the 2023 version that passed the Senate, but was significantly weakened in conference with the House, opposition from Pentagon officials and some House members persists. We've got a shot at this, but it depends on finding common ground within the House, Rounds noted, referencing ongoing discussions with key House figures to address concerns. The legislation has garnered support from Senator Kristen Gillibrand and Martin Heinrich, who joined as co-sponsors. This is a critical step towards reducing stigma and advancing scientific inquiries, Gillibrand said. However, the absence of UAP provisions in the House's NDAA version suggests challenges ahead in negotiations. Advocates for disclosure have rallied behind the effort. The right to know is why we are here. To thank Senator Schumer for his advocacy and demand continued progress, said Osvaldo Franco, lead organizer of the Citizens for Disclosure Now, at a recent rally outside Schumer's New York office. Critics, including some defense officials, argue that the amendment duplicates existing efforts by Arrow. The amendment's fate hinges on Senate negotiations and potential inclusion into a broader NDAA package, with no guarantee of a standalone vote. Schumer remains resolute. We will keep pushing to change the status quo and bring clarity to this issue. First thing I thought about when I read this, was, and as long as we get support, isn't that what happened last time? Was they said, they got a lot of people that were going, yeah, we're with you, and then it kind of fell flat. So,
well, the reason why it fell flat the last time was because, and you and I being Canadian, we don't really understand very well American politics, how it kind of works.
Right.
But they have what they call this gang of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually a lot of the heavyweights in the Senate who or in Congress who are the ones who really lead the charge to start pushing forward bills and motions and debate and discussions on things. And you've heard me talk about Mike Turner.
Yep.
A number of times. Well, the biggest critic towards the Schumer rounds bills the last couple of years as they've been brought up was Mike Turner.
Mm-hmm.
And who does Mike Turner represent? Well, in his constituency happens to be Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which employs over 50,000 people and is considered a top secret base, kind of like the Area 51 of the East. The other interesting part about Wright-Patterson is if you go back to 1947 with the Roswell crash, it is believed that the information that was gained there, along with the craft and alien bodies, were originally taken to Wright-Patterson before making their way to Area 51. Turner, has been adamant about keeping the UFO stuff out of budget. Doesn't like it. Why? We don't know. Okay, but he was part of the Intelligence Committee, and he was very much adamant about whitewashing the previous bills. So it would be brought up, but really you wouldn't get anything out of it.
Exactly.
But now that he is gone and out of that position, Askapol's Matt Laszlo asked Chuck Schumer today, do you think there's a better chance of it getting through? And Schumer now says there's a good chance that we can find out what is going on by getting this passed. So it is, and I'm paraphrasing, but
sure,
it is very important that there were old school people who'd been elected for years, if not a decade or two, who are holding this back, probably at the behest of the American public. But now that especially Turner is out of the way, there is a greater chance that the UAPDA will not get whitewashed this year. That's exciting for us.
Oh, 100%. And you and I talked about this last year when they were going through the same thing on the buildup. And I think that's what you had brought up to begin with, was that we've got where they have so many old school people in there right now that they need to go so that we can get the new blood and the younger people that are actually interested in it or believe in it, or however you want to put it, up in the forefront. And I think that those people last year, those young people that were getting involved, I think possibly, and this is just my assuming, is that they were probably felt a little intimidated by some of the older the senior people in there, looking at them like they were, you guys are crazy. But yeah, let's hope so. That's a good point. Like, we get some of these older people out of here, which is happening, and these young and enthusiastic people and people with a little bit more open mind, I think is going to be a good thing. And I think you've hit that bang on.
What else you got for us, Chief?
Well, ex-NASA engineer claims trillions, not billions or millions, trillions of shape-shifting cloaked devices are hidden across Earth. So a former NASA engineer has made sensational claims that humans are not only reverse engineering alien technology, but the trillions of invisible extraterrestrial devices may already be hidden across the planet. Richard Banderick, CEO of Field Propulsion Technology and a former propulsion engineer for NASA and Lockheed Martin, shared the shocking allegations during a December 2024 episode of Ecosystem Futures podcast, which has recently resurfaced on social media. In the interview, Banderick described a covert effort by the U.S. government and private research groups to study advanced materials allegedly recovered from unidentified flying objects. He claimed that many of these mysterious objects were not simply crash debris, but part of what he suspects is a vast invisible sensor network scattered around the world. The engineer admitted he didn't know who had placed the devices, but said they were unlike anything ever seen, not just decades ahead of current technology, but hundreds of years beyond it. He described one such device as a sliver of metal that could reconfigure and camouflage itself depending on its surroundings. It would cloak itself and try to blend into the environment, he said. That's how we could tell it was extraterrestrial. Well, I'm sure. So, despite the bold claims, Banderick offers no physical evidence to support them. His comments have ignited online speculation about UFO disclosure, and some users calling 2024 the year disclosure really happened. The Pentagon, however, continues to deny the existence of any alien retrieval programs and confirmed contacts with extraterrestrial life. As for why some advanced groups would be scattering tiny objects as part of a global monitoring system, the engineer claimed that extraterrestrials could be trying to influence human society. They have all sorts of functions. This really implies that maybe this group is actually manipulating our species, he warned in his first public comments. Since the 2024 podcast, he had other guests, including UFO researcher Hal Puthoff and former NASA advisor Dr. Ana Brainy Estevez, have continued to share details of humanity's attempt to reverse engineer alien technology. He added that it was still possible to acquire these cloaked devices scattered around the world, but his access has been cut off by the groups he was working with after he chose to go public with what he knew. He also had originally been recruited by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Air Force to work on classified projects aimed at analyzing systems from crashed UFOs. However, he noted that these technologies weren't being used by U.S. government. Instead, it was non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that were studying most of the recovered alien tech. Some of that work I was doing with NGOs was really exciting, but one of the things that comes out of this is that these individuals, or whoever this group is that is this advanced technology, probably does not want us to reverse engineer what they're working on, he explained. To stop other groups or governments from utilizing these materials, scientists discovered that the unknown metals could break apart into tiny particles and then could not be reactivated. They were smart materials, in quotes. You'd be looking at them and trying to reverse engineer them. They would turn to dust, the engineer revealed. They would do it within a minute or two. Then you could take the dust, send it off, get isotopic analysis done on it, and it turned out they were extraterrestrial. It's like, okay, so leave us hanging. What do they look like? Do we have any pictures? Can we find them anywhere? Can you show us anything? Because I'd like to see this stuff, right?
Well, I think we'd all like to see it, Those are wild and bold claims for people who are not educated on this subject.
Right.
And they're even wild and bold claims from many of us who do study this subject.
That's right.
I want to literally believe this guy.
Yeah,
I do. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because when you hear people like Jim Goodall, aviation historian, aviation Hall of Famer in the United States, I mean, you hear what he was said and the people that he talks to.
Right.
You and I have been seeing, we can't say who he was talking to, but you and I have been seeing who is literally in contact with Jim.
Look at my phone.
Look who I'm talking to. Look at my phone. Don't tell anybody.
No. Okay.
But, he was good friends with former Lockheed Skunk Works head Ben Rich.
That's right.
And you talk to people who are in the system, they believe we're 100, 150 years potentially ahead of where we are, what we see in the sky today. Yep. The question is it ours or is it theirs?
Exactly.
When I say theirs, I'm not talking any humans on this planet or any country on this planet. And that's the difficulty. We don't know. And like you said, there is no proof. There is no evidence. It is a trust me, bro situation. God, do I want to believe this one, man.
Well, for sure. And the thing is like, trillions of these things all over the world. So that's where I have, well, I guess my skepticism jumps up is because, okay, if there's trillions, has nobody stumbled on one and went, hey, check this stuff out, right? Like, that's what gets me is you're right. They make these grandiose claims, and I'm not here to say that they're true or they're not true, but where my skepticism jumps up is in that case. If there's trillions of them, you should be tripping over these things. They shape shift. They look like little pieces of slivers of metal. Okay, so nobody's ever found those anywhere. Nobody has. I don't know. It's perplexing. I like using that word. Perplexing.
We still have to figure out who it is. We got 3 minutes before we have to go.
I have got really a bunch of stuff here. I got Ross Coulthart. There was a bit of a kerfuffle about him, and you and I talked about it earlier. Ross Coulthart, investigative journalist with a storied career at outlets like Four Corners, 60 Minutes, has emerged as a prominent figure and discourse surrounding UFOs. His work, particularly with News Nation, and his book, In Plain Sight, An Investigation into UFOs and Impossible Sciences, has positioned him as a leading voice in the UAP community. However, recent claims and the polarized reception of his reporting raised provocative questions as Coulthart, in his pursuit of truth, become an unwilling agent of disinformation. Coulthart supporters praised his dogged pursuit of transparency, particularly around UFOs and alleged government cover-ups. His interviews with whistleblowers, such as U.S. Air Force veteran Jake Barber, who claimed involvement in recovering non-human technology, and his discussion with figures like Senator Mike Rounds on the UAP disclosure legislation, suggest a journalist committed to uncovering hidden truths. Coulthart has also been vocal about what he perceives as failures by mainstream media and government institutions to engage seriously with the UAP issue, framing himself as a skeptic, challenging the establishment. Yet, skepticism about Coulthart's claims is growing, particularly after bold assertions like in July or this month's statement that the 2004 Tic Tac UAP incident involved Lockheed Martin technology, not extraterrestrial craft. The claim, made without public evidence, has drawn criticism from some quarters as speculative and at best misleading at worst. Critics argue that Coulthart's reliance on unnamed sources within defense circles risks amplifying unverified narratives, potentially muddying the waters of credible UAP research. His detractors point to his Australian Skeptics Bent Spoon Award for promoting pseudoscience piffle as evidence of a pattern of sensationalism. Seems to be a lot of rumblings and grumblings about Ross, and you and I were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. Is he an unwitting disinformation agent, or is it legit? No, exactly, right? So, yeah, this is coming out. Everybody's picking on him. I think
people in this field just always need somebody to blame.
You're right.
Okay, and Ross is an easy target right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. His job as a journalist is to run with the stories that are presented to him with evidence, and not just taking a person's word verbatim, but literally having to back up their credentials. That never makes it into the story, but you have to be able to do that. And I know where people are questioning Ross and whether or not he's a disinfo agent or not. I don't think so. I think he's just running with what he's told, trying to confirm it the best that he can, and then putting it out there for the world to see. Remember, a journalist's job is just to throw a story out there.
Right.
It's not to tell you whether you're right or wrong. That's your choice as a person to actually make that decision. Tim James, thank you for the shortened and abbreviated UFO report. Coming up next is the Dave 101, and then the weird news of the week. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott. All right, we're clear.
Yo.
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
You have a good day?
Month end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, month end, and
All the things that go with it.
got to deal with a screw up tomorrow.
Sorry to hear that.
It happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We understand that. It's just the bosses that don't seem to get it.
Excuse me.
All righty. I will let you get ready.
All
Sorry,
right,
go
buddy.
ahead.
We will
All right.
see you on Saturday.
Yep, and we'll see the rest of you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock sharp for Element 115. All right, man.
Take care,
to you
bud.
tomorrow. You bet.
Take
Ciao.
care. Ciao.
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 Leave now.
Ciao. Ciao. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Ask you a trivia question. Granola Grin, how are you? Trivia question. I don't know right now. My brain's not working very well tonight. All right. Thank you tonight to Pam Harris, Mama Catherine, Oob the Birthday Boy, and Necessary Dialogue for the great super chats. Also, a big thank you to Dutch Hank for joining us in the new membership. Appreciate you. Really do. Yeah, next week we're going to start doing things on our membership. So get ready for it. Get ready for it. We're going to come back here momentarily. Just trying to put some words in my head here. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the day, that time of the night, that time of the week where I yell at each and every one of you to get off my lawn. It's a Dave 101.
Open up the door, Dave. What is this? It's a Dave 101.
I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over.
Leave the car!
It's a mess.
Well, considering this is my rant of the week, I'm going to make it about me. Because I want to talk to you guys about something, and I still haven't been able to wrap my fingers around it. But it is something that I think is important to discuss. How I'm going to discuss it, I really don't know. I really don't. And let me tell you why. Because it involves how I feel. Yes. And it does involve one of my favorite topics of late, the Flight 21 crash site. You see, in the last couple of weeks, we have had a couple of instances out at our investigation area that have literally scared the daylights out of me. And often I have been finding myself wondering whether or not this is actually worth it. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And I'm going to keep doing it. But these scary encounters to me have really shown what this is really about. It's about testing your knowledge. It's about testing your stamina. It's about testing your will and whether or not you can be scared off. I don't like being scared. I really don't like being scared. You know, like I'm one of these guys where if you jump out from around a corner and go boo or something like that, I'm literally going to start swinging. I really am. I hate being surprised or scared. But you know what I've learned about the phenomena? It doesn't care. No, it doesn't care at all. And why doesn't it care? Because in my theory, the phenomena only gives you as much as it thinks you can handle. Now, if we go back a few weeks where we had those voices in the forest trying to lure Tim and I into the trees, saying, help me, I'm over here, help me. And then this past weekend, where literally after listening to our native friend Alali drum and sing a welcoming song to the spirits and the cryptids that were around, literally 10, 15 minutes later, not that far away, hearing the most violent tree knocks I have ever heard. Bang, bang. I literally since then have heard that bang, bang in my head multiple times a day. And then a couple of minutes later, hearing the rustling through the trees as whatever it was seems to be running away. Well, you know what? This is what I do know. I do know that there wasn't a bear with karate nunchucks dancing away, practicing, and then decided to smack the tree twice. I know it wasn't a moose because, well, moose don't really grip very well with their feet. Going through the Rolodex, could it have been a human? No, not that violent unless they were carrying around a Louisville Slugger with them while they were trouncing through the absolute thickness of the forest. But there were no other people around. Could it have been a mountain lion? No, they don't like to make sound. Grizzly bear? Maybe. However, I don't see them doing a double bang on a tree with a stick either. So my lead conclusion is it was Sasquatch. But the violence and the ferocity of the hitting of that tree and double tapping it, it made me feel very small. It made me feel like I was extremely meek in a very dangerous place that all of a sudden I was unsure of whether or not I should have been there, especially with so few people, with just Lolly and I there, Tim away. But yes, I had to be there. I had to be there because that's what I want to do. I am loving this adventure. I'm loving the response we're getting on our YouTube channel. I'm loving how each and every time Tim and I go out there, there is something new that happens, even if we don't expect it. The blood rush that goes through your system when you are startled the way we were with those tree knocks or with those voices, it makes you feel alive. It makes you feel like you have something going on and you wish the world could experience this moment as we speak, especially all the deniers and skeptics and non-believers who say none of this truly happens. Those people barely get off their lazy boy, let alone trying to survive in a forest. It was scary. It was scary indeed. And you'll hear me repeat that a number of times during this Dave 101. The rush of it all is worth it. Now, I know that I'm not trying to be a hero, neither is Tim. We're doing this out of our own curiosity, and we are bringing this story to each and every one of you, whether you're listening on the radio or you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to this on our podcast network. Being there in your own shoes and having this happen is surreal. Now, I'm very fortunate in a way where I'm not saying none of you have ever faced fear like that before. I know we have a lot of veterans on this show who have seen way worse than I ever have. I know we've had a lot of people who've maybe been robbed at pointy sticks or by pointy sticks or, you know, had bad situations happening. The big difference between those and what we're experiencing out in the forest and the scariness and the anxiety and the fear we're experiencing out there is the fact that we are in an extremely unpredictable area, probably safer than most of the situations you may have encountered, but still scary nonetheless because you're always on guard. You're on guard for bears running through, cougars running around, moose coming around. And yes, moose actually kill more people in Canada and in the world than bears do on an annual basis, believe it or not. And then there's the other stuff that we are trying to conjure up in that area. And with that conjuring of this and trying to build that communication, we really are entering virgin territory. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where it's going to go. We don't know if we'll come back. Literally. Never mind all the experiences of the sightings of the Bigfoot photo in the tree that we've had. You can find that on our social media. Whether it's the tree knocking, the voices trying to lure us into the forest, which I still think to this day was a skinwalker or a Wendigo. All of the disembodied voices that we are capturing on tape, were they from the plane crash or were they from somewhere else that just caught our frequency? We don't know. The UFOs, the aliens, when you're hearing, this humming sound all around you, but you can't see anything. These are all things that have happened. It is like a paranormal paradise. It is a carnival of events that you never know what your entry ticket is going to actually bring you that night. I just hope it still remains safe, because I actually do like coming home, and I never ever want to have to use my own pointy stick for the sake of safety, chasing this dream of paranormal supernatural activity. I'm not growing weary of going, but I am thinking that this is something that is way over my head and that I need to be more careful. I really do need to be able to control my emotions a little bit more, not get as scared stiff as I do at times when I'm out there when something weird happens. It's not about bravery. It's not about trying to say I'm better than you or Tim is better than you or, that we're going off on this silly adventure. We don't know what we're doing out there until we get out there and have a conversation on the drive in, which takes about an hour to get out there and set up. And then we want to make sure that what we are doing, number one, is safe. And number two, we want to make sure that we're going to come home again. But number three, we also want to make sure that we aren't upsetting anything and pissing off the wrong creature that's going to all of a sudden lead us to some sort of dangerous event. The weird feeling about it, though, is I do get the feeling, and so does Tim, that we are on the precipice of something happening. It's going to be a close encounter. It's going to be very, very altruistic. It's going to be life-changing. And I just hope that we're able to get it on film, or, as the kids say these days, camera. I want to so bad. And I think it's coming. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a Sasquatch, a Dogman, a UFO encounter, ghostly activity on the cameras, the skinwalkers, the Wendigos, the little people, the gnomes, whatever is in that area. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know where it's going to go. And to be frank, that's part of the excitement. But you want to be prepared, and you want to make sure that all of a sudden, on all that excitement, you're not dropping dead of a jammer right there because fear got to your heart. It's happened before, could happen again. Not to me, but it's happened to other people. We are staying safe. We are staying very true to what we do. It's good to have somebody like Tim there who has the experience and the knowledge of the wilderness to know where you can push things and where you can't. When I'm not feeling brave, Tim is. When he's not feeling brave, I am. And that's how we really coexist with doing this project. Hopefully, over the next little bit, we will be adding one or two more people to our team in order to allow us to have a little bit more feeling of relaxation. It's hard to relax out there because you're always on alert. You're always looking for something. It doesn't stop. And I guess that's the thrill ride we're on. I believe that is what we are trying to do. What I can't figure out just yet is the story that the phenomena is trying to tell us. Maybe it'll come. Maybe they just lured us into that area to experience everything that we've wanted on a paranormal, supernatural realm. I don't know the answer to that yet. The phenomena hasn't answered that question. but it is getting closer. And I think week after week, as we continue to go out there, we do have to keep our eyes open for the ultimate encounter. Do I fear being out there? I am aware. You have to have a healthy respect for the fear that goes along with that place, and not just because Bigfoot bangs on a tree. No, you have to respect the nature that Mother Nature has provided us and the gifts that she has brought forward with all of these beautiful animals that may just not be friends with humans. But we're going to continue. The adrenaline rush keeps going. I cannot wait for the weekend to get out there. And maybe I'm silly, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm nuts, but I can tell you this. Next week when we're back, we're going to have more great stories to share with each and every one of you. That's your Dave 101.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
I am good at things, fighting and reading the news.
It's time once again for Spaced Out Radio's Weird News of the Week.
All right, we're going to start off somewhere in Oklahoma here, where it's been a week since 2 Oklahoma Board of Education members complained about seeing nude women appear on a TV set during an official board meeting. And yet we've already reached the just asking questions stage of this scandal. What's going on here? Well, let's find out. One might have expected Superintendent of Public Instruction Ryan Walters to agree with his outraged board members, a sort of together we will unmask the degenerates who are making a mockery of our meetings with their streaming retro pornography. But no, Walters first put out a press release titled Response to the Most Absurd, False, and Guttural Political Attack from a Desperate Failing Establishment, in which he said that any suggestion that a device of mine was used to stream inappropriate content on the television set is categorically false. Well, a little defensive, isn't he? Since then, Walters has just kept throwing metaphorical tanks of gas into this dumpster fire of a situation. See, on July 29th, he recorded a video statement to X in which he called the scandal the nastiest political attack and said it was based on lies by board members. He then said that the board members in question should resign immediately in disgrace over the lies they have pushed about me. He also held a more traditional press conference, standing at a podium filled with media company microphones, where he repeatedly said that the media are liars and that no one trusts them, because that's a defense mechanism usually when you're guilty. He also asked whether Oklahoma's governor had perhaps prompted the board members whom the governor appointed to make up the accusation as part of a coordinated smear campaign against him. Did he really direct those board members to lie about me, Walters asked? Next up were promises of retribution. The case goes on and on with this guy. Well, the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office, which has been handling the law enforcement side of this investigation, has not backed this narrative. Instead, issued their own Facebook statement, because that's what they do these days. It said, to clear up any confusion, the statement noted that this investigation is still in its infancy, so it would be inappropriate to discuss who we plan to speak with or any evidence. So basically what the story is, we got a guy who might be a pervert taking in a school board meeting, watching old school porn, probably on Pornhub or something along those lines, because he's bored in one of these meetings and people got offended, and now it's a big ruckus. How do you feel about that? All right, here's a cool one. A South African university launched an anti-poaching campaign to inject the horns of rhinos with radioactive isotopes that say it's harmless for the animals, but can be detected by customs agents. Under the collaborative project involving the University of Witwatersrand, nuclear energy officials, and conservationists, 5 rhinos were injected in what the university hopes will be the start of a mass injection of the declining rhino population. They call it the Rhizotope Project. Last year, about 20 rhinos at a sanctuary were injected with isotopes in trials that paved the way for Thursday's launch. The radioactive isotopes, even at low levels, can be recognized by radiation detectors at airports and borders, leading to the arrest of poachers and traffickers. Researchers at the university say the tests conducted in the pilot study confirmed that the radioactive material was not harmful to the rhinos. We have demonstrated beyond scientific doubt that the process is completely safe for the animal and effective in making the horn detectable through international custom nuclear security systems, said James Larkin, chief scientific officer at the Rhizotope Project. Even a single horn with significantly lower levels of radioactivity than what will be used in practice successfully triggered alarms in radiation detectors. The tests also found out that horns could be detected in full 40-foot shipping containers. This is awesome. This is so awesome. I've never understood the reasoning for the rhino killing spree. I realize that it has something to do with some ancient medicine or some garbage like that, but man, I wish people could just lay off that. I do. I love rhinos. They're weird looking, but awesome. Well, if you were in 2024 at this close pizza parlor in Wisconsin, you may have had a little bit more than what it was expected because 80 people at the pizzeria apparently used oil infused and a psychoactive ingredient to make the pizzas. 85 people became really high with THC after eating the pizza, garlic bread, and sandwiches from a Wisconsin restaurant. The unusual incident took place in October 2024, was described in a new report published just this past week in Morbidity and Morality Weekly Report, a regular publication that's put out by the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention. Apparently, these people had no idea that they were going to get high off their pizza pie, but they had a good time pigging out nonetheless. So we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocket in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good show, everybody. You did well. Good job in the chat rooms tonight. Hi, Benno. No, it's not, Deboruni. No, it is not. Maybe to some, but I think to most, no. Our Keith Andrews tomorrow night. Sylvain Gano, how are you? Philip Miller, how you doing? It's tuggable. It's about, I don't know, whatever that is. Thank you, Dutch Hank. All right, tomorrow night on the show, our Keith Andrews, the ET Connection. Big thank you to Deb Times2, Birthday Joe, Mama Catherine, Pam, and Necessary Dialogue. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and be like Dutch Hank. Join our membership on the YouTube channel. We're going to start some fun stuff with you guys next week. I promise you. We will. Next week, we'll have some fun. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.